In July of 2008, a student named Jung was called to the front of his classroom. So we walked to the front of the classroom, and the teacher named Lee said, "Kneel." So like a student obeying his teacher, Jung kneeled. And to the horror of the students in the classroom, Teacher Lee picked up a wooden rod and brought it down full force on the back of Jung's leg. And if that wasn't enough, Teacher Lee took the dowel rod again and brought it down with full force on the same spot. What was Jung's crime? What was his transgression against his teacher? It was something that you and I and we Toastmasters do every week. He spoke his opinion. In an international business class, having an open discussion, Jung disagreed with Teacher Lee's opinion about U.S. beef. And instead of logically arguing with him, the teacher reverted to violence. Ladies and gentlemen, today I would like us to look at how people speaking their mind are physically attacked in this world and throughout history. And we're going to look at three different things today. We're going to look at a metaphor of a tree and how we can see speakers as a tree. And then we're going to look at both Galileo and then Gandhi and how they were attacked and serve as examples to us all as champions of free speech. So first, the tree metaphor. When an individual believes something very strongly, that individual is like a tree with roots that are deep-seated into the ground, deep-seated into those opinions, belief, and convictions. And when that tree is rooted deeply, the trunk gets big, it gets strong, and soon it will bear fruit. Now, that fruit that is bared are the opinions that the individual wants to spread. And the fruit can be offered to other individuals to taste and decide if they like that opinion or not. And if they like it, then the seeds of that fruit will be spread throughout the world, throughout the community. But sometimes people don't just eat the fruit and walk away if they disagree. Sometimes they want to stop that tree from reproducing that fruit. Sometimes that people will take the metaphorical axe and maybe knock out the fruit before someone can taste it. Or even worse, cut down that tree so it can never bear fruit again. Unfortunately, sometimes people are weakened by these attacks and the winds will blow down the tree. And unfortunately, sometimes it doesn't take wind. It only takes an axe to cut down that tree, to kill that person, in hopes that their message will never be spread. So, moving on to the second point, Galileo. Galileo was like a tree. He was logical, he was a scientist, and he had a deep-rooted belief that the earth was not the center of this universe. He, through logic and reasoning, decided that the sun was the center, that the earth moved around the sun, and so he bore fruit and said, "Everybody, listen, we've got it all wrong. The sun is the center," but guess who didn't like that? The church. The church said, "No, the earth is the center, and you must recant your message." And in 1632, Galileo was convicted of heresy, forced to recant his statements, and put on house arrest, where he stayed until the day that he died. The metaphorical axes chopped down his body. They chopped down his message. And he died in house arrest. But his message and the truth that the earth goes around the sun did not die that day. The last person I'd like to talk about is Gandhi. And we all know the story of Gandhi. He was a champion of human rights. Rights for Indians in South Africa. Rights for Indians in India. rights for women, rights for the poor. But what happened in 1948? Someone who did not like his message went up to Gandhi with a gun as Gandhi was getting ready to speak on a stage at a non-violent religious gathering and killed him, chopping down his body. But as we know, his message, his opinions of human rights live on. And they influence almost all of us, from Martin Luther King to Park Dae-sung, Minerva, to the current protesters in Madison, Wisconsin. So ladies and gentlemen, we can use this metaphor as a tree to see the speakers and to see the physical attacks that people try to harm them with the axes and with the winds of time trying to blow them down. But if our roots are deep enough, that our message will carry on, even if those physical attacks kill us. Ladies and gentlemen of Toastmasters, I believe, as many of us do, that in this room today are some of the most capable speakers in the entire nation, and the Toastmasters around the world have the means and the willingness to speak the truth, to speak their opinions, to bear the fruit despite our adversaries that would attempt to harm us or condemn us or even kill us. And I want to persuade you, and I want to challenge you. If your roots are deep in a belief, bear your fruit and spread your opinion, even if somebody threatens to physically or mentally or socially harm you. Because despite what many of us believe growing up in a democratic republic, freedom isn't free. It doesn't come from silence, and contrary to popular culture, it does not simply cost $1.05. Freedom is gained by the people willing to stand up to their adversaries, and we are those people that can bear that fruit.